Howdy, and welcome to Building a Viking Sword Part 3. In this one, we're going to go over unwrapping, but before I do, I want to take one quick look down here. You'll notice this has a lot of very flashy facets. I completely forgot to talk about smoothing group this, and we have, let's get off the move tool. I'm going to take these edges here. I noticed they were sticking in a bit. They're sticking out. Control, select, control, click. Now, I'm going to control, select vertices, scroll in here, hold Alt, deselect the bottom ones so we have just the top guys. I want to take this and move it in where I can see it some. Then take the scale tool here. I'm going to scale up here while watching it down here. And bring that in some, just so it isn't bound up so tight. Now, get off the scale tool, go to polygon, drag a box around them. Make sure you have everybody. We're going to start by coming down here and hitting auto smooth. You'll notice no group is selected at all. That's because they were extruded. I forgot to mention that earlier. Auto smooth. It has 1 and 2. So I want to look at what it's doing, and it's giving some bad facets here. So we're going to hit clear all. I'm just going to grab one at random, hit 20. That'll give it a nice molded look. Now, before I start that, I'm going to hit File, Save. Make sure this is not highlighted as in a sub-object group is selected. Make sure you are on editable poly. In later versions of Max, I know this is a dinosaur, but in later versions of Max, this is all, everything is dark gray, and you don't have a lot of the colors. So, like in here, it's yellow. I think it's just highlighted in bright gray now in the newer ones. Make sure that is not. Make sure you're on editable poly. Alright, now we're not going to use UV mapping. We're going to use unwrap UVW. I have a custom button set up here, which I'll go over again with configuration settings in a separate video. So if you hit your modifier list, and in here, just hit the letter U on the keyboard. It'll bring you down to the U's. You want unwrap UVW, not UVW map. Then hit edit. This will bring up, which I have to drag into here and make really small. An edit window, and you should have a nice jumbled mess here, which isn't any big deal. I'm going to have to move it over some. I hope this is big enough for you guys to see. Okay, what we're going to need to do, there we go. That should be good. You have polygon, edge, and vertex. Vertex obviously selects your vertices. Edge will select specific or clusters of edges, and face, of course, selects face. If you hit select element with one of these and you grab one, notice it'll grab an entire group. Whoops. Scale it in a little bit more. F. Alright, now I'm going to turn off select element for the moment. We're on polygon. I'm going to go into the front just for time's sake on the blade. Now, one thing I did not do with this yet is I did not reset the X form. So if I try to relax this after I lay these out, they're not going to relax correctly because the X form did get messed up. I'm going to turn off ignore back facing. Again, this is my motto is time not technique. So this is the reason. Turn off ignore back facing, drag a box around the top half. That selects your entire blade all the way around. Turn on ignore back facing, hold down Alt, drag a box again around the top half. Now you only have the back side. We're going to hit Pelt. Now, for those of you with later versions of Macs, Macs 2008 and up, a lot of the control has been removed from Pelt. I don't know why they did it that way, but it's about 50% of it is just flat out broken. You can't grab Best Align or anything else. It aligns the way it wants. This, for older ones, I'm going to hit Align Y. That'll give me the flat. It's basically the same thing as hitting planar at this point in time, but it will retain its shape. Hit Edit Pelt Map. Now, here, it sets it out. It looks just like that, and again, it's exactly the same as if I had used planar. You can use planar if you want. You'll notice here it has Simulate Pelt Pulling. I'm not touching any of these. For later versions, there'll be a button on the bottom that says Commit. At this time, don't stretch it, don't bother with it. Go ahead, hit Commit. With Max 9 back through 8, turn that off, turn Pelt off, and now we're going to, with Ignore Back Facing On, go and grab ourselves another box up here. We now have the opposite side. Hit Pelt, Align Y. Again, later versions you don't get that option. Edit Pelt Map, hit Commit, or with the older ones turn it off, and they're fine. Let's turn on Select Element, and we have both sides now. I'm just going to move these over, and like I said, if I try to relax this, let me grab one and show you. I don't know which side I have at the moment. Tools, Relax. Notice I'm not using the Relax tools in the Pelt. Change this to by face angles. It's always the top one. By face angles. Change the amount up. For newer versions, you just change it by face angles, and you'll have a relax button. You can click that button and it'll relax it until it's done. With these older ones, it goes by iterations and it does it a little bit at a time. I'm going to hit that 3 times real quick. Oh, it actually worked. Nice. But you see this. It's not quite exact. We'll leave that so you can see it. Now, if I take the other one, this should be the opposite side. Notice here, we've got weird angles going on. If I click off of this, you can see it better. And we don't want that. So, Control Z. I'm going to keep hitting Control Z until that's no longer relaxed. Select elements on, so we're shoved out of the way. No biggie. You get a lot of green lines all over the place. If these are in your way, you can come up to leave Show Pelt Seam on, Show Map Seam. If you uncheck this one, now those are gone. I'm going to leave Relax on. Come up here. Again, turn Ignore Back Facing off. Drag a box around the cylinder and the top. Actually, you know what? I'm not. Let's just grab that cylinder here. In theory, if I just clicked it, it should grab it. But since all of these have been extruded, bridged, everything else, they all attach to it as well. So I'm just going inside of it and making a little tiny box. You'll have a dotted line on your screen. This, of course, this video capture is very old and it doesn't show that. Now what I'm going to do here, let's grab this and move it out of the way. Tools, Break, and I'm just going to shove it down here. I'm going to leave it for now. We'll deal with it after. What I'm going to do is just break everything apart, collapse this, reset the X-form, then come back and fix it. So now I'm going to come down here, do the same thing with Ignore Back Facing off. Tools, Break, shove it down out of the way. Now what I want to do is We're going to go ahead and do some point-to-point seams so you can see how those work. Now we can turn ignore back facing back on. By default it's on. It likes to be on. Point-to-point seam. We're going to start. We're detaching this part from this part by cutting in our own custom seams. So I want to start by clicking that vertex and then click basic points, and it will, for the most part, it's pretty intuitive on following lines. Sometimes it gets weird and you have to actually go vertex by vertex, but for the most part it's pretty good. And then I'm going to go ahead and separate it. See, like that, where it didn't go where it was supposed to go. See if it works here. Nope. Okay. And here? Yes. Sometimes it happens. Right? It doesn't want to behave. And again, resetting your X-form first, like I should have done, remedies a whole handful of errors that can happen. And I'm just Alt middle mouse wheel so I can rotate around. Undo. Click here. Here. We'll just follow them. Right mouse click off. Right mouse click again, it turns that off. Now we can grab a face in here, hit expand face selection to pelt seams. Pelt, we'll just do it best align, which is what you're going to usually end up with. There. Again, older version, turn pelt off. Don't bother with it. Shove that out of the way. Expand face selection, pelt, best align, edit pelt map, turn off pelt. Move this over. Okay, where were we? Alright. Now, the only thing we should have left, if I just drag a box over everybody, we have the top and bottoms of these guys and the handle. Notice that these little tiny ones in here are now selected with that, and that's what we wanted. So we're going to turn off ignore back facing, hold down Alt, drag a box around the handle. So we only have the tops and the bottoms of the hilt and the pommel. Hit Pelt, align Z. Again, a lot of times you're going to be stuck with best align. Edit pelt map. I'm going to turn these off, and you'll notice they're totally the wrong shape. This is a real good indicator that the X-form has not been reset. I'm going to shove those as a jumbled mess out of the way. With ignore back facing off, I'm going to take the handle, and for this, we'll go ahead and hit cylindrical. It will give you a strange gizmo. You can hit fit, and that'll shrink it in. This is by no means perfect or aligned yet, but it will give you your line here. You turn cylindrical off, and it will stay that way. And now we'll go back into resetting the X-form. Collapse to file, save. Always, always, always save before hitting reset X-form. If you've used a lot of bizarre modifiers, reset X-form can completely hose your model. Hit reset X-form, reset selected. Notice you already start seeing, I don't know if you saw it there, if you back up and you do it again, or watch it again, you can see where smoothing groups and normals have been changed. Then we go back to our modifier tab, right mouse click, collapse to. If your model gets hosed, if it gets squished, twisted, distorted by resetting the X-form, file, reset, tell it no, you do not want to save, file, open recent, grab your latest save. Now, this sounds silly, but it works. Come in, box or plain, whatever you want. Just go keyboard entry. Let's do 21 by 20. It doesn't matter. Just create it. Make sure it's centered. go back to your modifier tab, right mouse click it, convert to editable poly, turn on attach, click your object, turn off attach, go to element, select whatever it was you just created, hit delete. Your X-form is now reset without totally hosing your model, and you don't have to worry about it. That's just in case it screws up. And now notice we have a different color. If you want to change the color of the model while you're dealing with it, if it's like that horrible bright green, you can click the color beside it and pick whichever you want. Let's do something mildly neutral. Okay, still an eyesore. Alright, now we can go back to unwrap UVW, edit, bring it back in for you. All of our information is retained. Select element, polygon. Now we're going to grab this. This is kind of a toss-up. Relax. If you hit relax, it's a big box. It should be very squished. If you hit relax, it can just crunch up. Sometimes it'll pop out perfectly, sometimes it'll squish. If it squishes, come in here with these handles. The corners are scale, the edges are rotate. So you can rotate it or scale it. Hold down Control and it'll scale it uniformly. Hold down Shift and it'll scale it in either direction. Squish it down some so it's similar to in height. Then hit relax. Do the same with this one. Squish it down. Remember, this one is the lower one, so it'll end up being smaller than that later on. We're not going to worry about it for now. We're just trying to get them relaxed. Tools, apply. And this I have to keep hitting, or you can add a number, another 0 or 2 up there. Remember, it takes a long time. You add 10,000 up there, it takes a long time. The handle, I'm not going to relax just yet. These guys. Notice that squished in. Control Z, Control Z. Tools, flip horizontal. Now it'll relax fine. This is the other top. Let's grab both of those, shove them out of the way. One of the reasons I'm not stacking things, let's take the blade, we'll relax it next real quick. Notice it flipped. Undo, tools, flip horizontal. I want to do that manually so it doesn't change the dimensions. I want these the same size. I do not want them stacked. And the reason why is if you're using any kind of lighting, normal mapping, well, basically mostly for lighting, but and you have these overlapped, your lighting, if you're doing a light map, shadow mapping, it's not going to come out right. They have to not be overlapped. It's similar to things like nostrils and ears in FaceGen. When you first do your UVW mapping, they can't be overlapped. Apply. This next one should have to be flipped horizontally because it's the bottom. Notice this is taking a long time and doing weird squishies. I'm going to undo this. You can undo this as well in later versions. Turning it off. I'm going to take this out. I believe that's the, well, it looks like that's the correct way to do it. There we go. Just give it a stretch in another direction. There's a 0 here. Sometimes relaxing can take a while. On really high polygon stuff, you want to let it go for quite some time. Couple hours? No, not a couple hours. Although I have done that, yeah, a couple hours. Yeah, good one, Joe. Good one, couple hours. Alright, now we're going to go and deal with the handle. Since it's hidden, I'm going to have to drag this out. What we're looking for is where it says checker. With rigged content, if you're exporting to video games such as Skyrim, and you have a rigged piece, like a helmet that has a cameo or an aventail or something that has neck bones and everything, don't ever leave the checkerboard on it and export it. Always either go into your material editor and add a material, and then you can remove it. It'll still come out and you have to delete it later in something like Nifscope. But if you try to export it with this checkerboard on and it's rigged, it will crash. These are perfect. These are not. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off. Now the reason I'm not relaxing this is because of this. Here, let me show you. Relax by face angles. Oh, it didn't do it. What do you know? Oh yeah, it did. Notice these are now all crooked. Well, that can cause seam issues. So let's undo that. We're going to go to vertex, select off of everybody, see where these guys are. Okay. Let's go whole element, bring it out here. Now, we know that this needs to be moved out some. Drag it out. When they need to be moved in. Oh, okay. Grab that group. Move it in about 50%. And do the same thing to the next one. Now we're going to do the same thing to these guys. Select this cluster, move it in toward the center, click off, select this next cluster, move it in, and do the same thing over here. And I may need to take, yep. That'll give it a little bit better. Ignore right here. Uh-oh. Now, there we go. Ignore the strange look here because that's one checkerboard over here. This is a completely different one. But it's pretty well lined up. Doesn't need to be exact. We're putting a wood handle on this one. Alright, and I'm going to call this video and see you in part 4.